Welcome to ATI Pro Media. Thank you for tuning in. It's Friday, right? But it feels a little bit like Groundhog Day, where I think every day this week we've talked about tariffs on, tariffs off, tariff on, tariffs off. It's Friday, so it is tariffs off for now, or some of them anyway. So with that, right, we got to make sure. One thing that sneaks up on us is that March WASD. We got a USDA report next week, Tuesday. Where else are we going to look? We got a COT report. It'll be out this afternoon. How much did funds reduce their longs, especially in corn, right? I think quite a bit, but time will tell. We'll have to see that. And then as always, whatever topic you want to hear, if you got a good question, right? That's the best shows when we get some questions in here and we can just spur some discussion. So drop a question, drop a comment. We'd love to hear it. Brady, jump in here. And a running joke with us is that we say we're gonna, hey, we're gonna keep the show tight. We're gonna stay on track. I don't think we can do that anymore. I got to be honest with you. Our short shows, it seems like we say, oh man, it seems like we got a few headlines. We're not going to go long, and then we go for 25 minutes. So we'll see how we do today. It's Friday.
We'll see. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I haven't decided yet in my mind. Are we rambling too much? Maybe. I don't know. I think they've been good shows.
I think so too. And Friday, I didn't do it last week because you weren't there and I forgot it. We got to do some tweets of the week, and we've got some good
ones. Yeah. All right. Bring them in later. All right. Run through your markets first here. Mixed board, interesting board. May corn up 2.5 cents, 466.5. Dees new crop corn down a penny, 450. Trying to hang on to that 450 level. Can we close above 450 on Friday?
Let's
see it happen. All right.
Please.
Looking at your May beans down 3 cents, 10.24 New crop, Novi beans even unchanged, 10.20 cents. Soy oils up 24 points, 43.41. Soy meal down $1.40, 303.50. And your wheat's down 2 3/4, 5.51 Looking over KC wheat, maize down 5.5, 5.60 New crop KC wheat down 5 3/4, 5.73 3/4. Looking at your meat markets, feeder cattle up 90 points on the April, 275.30. The March is 274.52, up 50 points. Live cattle, April fats up 92.5, 197.20. June up 90 points as well, bouncing back on the meat side of things. Lean hogs up 10 points on your April. Maize up 42.5 at 90.10. Crude oil, $1.45 higher, 67.81 a barrel on your WTI crude. Diesel market up 4 cents, 226.4. Hopefully you filled up them diesel tanks earlier in the week when we yelled at you and told you to go do it. Nat gas down 11 cents, 4.18. The Dow up 75 points, 42,682. The S&P up 15, 5,761. NASDAQ up 65. The Russell up 790. Bitcoin up 1,500, 91,000. Gold's up, silver's down. U.S. dollar slipping a little bit weaker here, down 368, 103.66. Been a market mover, that U.S. dollar. Bonds are a little higher as well. So short shows are hard to run through when you run through as many dang quotes as I do, Connor B. Makes me like 5.
We're 5 minutes. I like I like when you run through them. It's always good. We have our focus, right? We talk grain and cattle, but it's good to pay attention to the outside ones, right? Like what out of the soft commodities?
True, definitely.
In 2024, right? Coffee exploded, gold was on an absolute rip. So I like mentioning them, but
cocoa. Don't forget about cocoa.
Cocoa, exactly. Cocoa was on a rip, right?
Right.
But so it's always good to hear them. But so
yeah.
With that, all right, where are we going right now? Are we just do you want to knock the tariff talk out of the way immediately? Or are we doing that middle of the show, into the show? What do you want to do? Or you know what, Brady? If you said don't talk about them at all, I'll delete the headline right now.
My sounds don't work, so otherwise I'd buzz you every time you say the T word. I'm just gonna buzz you. Can't talk about it. I'm tired of talking about it. But let's cruise through the headlines here. Wherever you want to start, Connor B. Jobs report.
Okay, let's do the jobs report. Because that's a quick one. Not as bad as I think maybe people were expecting. U.S. added 151,000 jobs in February as employer is in a range of industries continue making hires while the federal government slashes workforce by 10,000. So I think it was just 8,000 less than the estimate. And so I don't think that was that bad. December's added jobs were revised by 16,000 and January revised down by 18,000 for a net adjustment of 2,000 jobs, right? We saw that last year where we'd have the new jobs report. It was looks great, and then we'd revise it back down, right? We always talked about, could you imagine if the USDA did that, right? Oh, we trimmed the final yield by 3.5 bushel, 3.6 bushel, but then the next USDA report, well, we're going to add
Go
2
back
bushel.
and correct it. Yeah.
What a maybe it's something I don't understand, but it's just a crazy hem haul around with that. But
That sounds like how I want to do my taxes, Connor B. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, looking at the Wall Street Journal headline with that jobless stuff, jobless rate ticked up to 4.1%. 10,000 government jobs lost. I'm just going to read here. The U.S. continued to generate jobs at a steady pace in February, offering reassurances the labor market has remained relatively stable since Trump took office. The gains were slightly below the 170,000 jobs expected by economists. So interesting. 10,000 government jobs lost. And then they were rehired, yesterday we undid that 45 days longer.
Yeah.
Kick the can.
Not all of them, but some of them, I think, right?
Some of them. Yeah. I thought the number was in the 5,000 range, but
Yep. You're right.
Yeah.
So interesting.
I don't know. Macro market stuff. A lot of headlines on the macro front, moving, a lot of data, moving, a lot of moving pieces. We talked about the rate stuff, changes on that front yesterday. Let's just keep cruising here. What do we got next, Connor?
You want to go? We're going to skip over. We're going to mention the T headline yet. We're going to go USDA report Tuesday, right?
Okay.
This one, to me, that March WASDE is kind of the ones that sneak up on me, right? Because I'm looking at that. I want to see the planning intentions, the one that comes out the end of March. But we do have a WASDE, right? Historically, it's kind of it's not a high volatility report when you compare it to some of the bigger ones. But that means nothing when we're talking about WASDE reports, USDA reports. So put it on your calendar, WASDE report Tuesday.
Right. I slapped some estimates together here
nice.
for you. Looking at the looking like corn. Fed carry out 1.540, average of estimates 1.516, so a little lighter there. Nice significant range there. I don't know. Does the March WASDE typically move the markets? No, you never know what to expect when the government's going to print some numbers and how the market's going to trade them, especially with the dynamic headlines we got going on here. WASDE feels like a non-event compared to everything else, but we'll see there. So there's a look at your estimates. Maybe there'll be some adjustments in South America numbers too. You never know.
I think that'll be the big numbers I'm looking at, is that the past two WASDEs, we kind of thought we'd see an adjustment in soybean production in Brazil, and we haven't got it. And so are they going to keep it as is? It looks like estimates think they are right at that 169. I guess the other question to me is that, hey, exports have been solid. They've been good. Do we see any type of revision that could move that carryout number based on
side?
That?
Yeah. Dr. Schunkweiler with ATI Research had an interesting blast out yesterday. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that email, but he sent some graphics out and he talked about the competitiveness of U.S. corn out of the PNW versus Argentina, and the PNW is still competitively priced, number one game in town, particularly to that Southeast Asia market, and being very competitive on that front. So that's a win. The bean side of things, I think his comment was we're at a 15-year low on unshipped soybean sales to the Far East, or that I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but to that specific region, 15-year low on unshipped beans, and that potentially maybe that's something to look for in the WASDE, is a downward revision on those bean exports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Fun
Good stuff.
It's nice to have a team behind you. ATI Research, Dr. Schunkweiler pumping out some good stuff.
And best in the end, one of the best in the industry. Fantastic.
Definitely.
So, okay, I'm going to knock it out. Okay. Let's mention it, right? Yesterday, tariffs are on, and then they're on. Hey, I heard that one. Your sounds are working. So, we saw here's coming straight from the source himself. After speaking with President Sheinbaum, I've agreed that Mexico will not be required to pay tariffs on anything that falls under the USMCA agreement until April 2nd. So we're just running it back. We bought another 30 days. The corn market liked it yesterday. We saw a nice rally. But what, Brady, what's changed from 30 days ago? What's changed from 60 days ago? Other than this headline here, this headline there. Has anything changed?
Well, it's a good question. and not much, but yes, too. Safrinha corn crop. We don't have a planting problem anymore, too, right? That's
Good
something
point.
that's on the table out there that definitely
Absolutely.
has changed from a fundamental and perspective issue. Then we had the 94 million acre. It got printed, and so did that mean some fund manager in New York City who's never seen a cornfield in his life said, "Oh man, there's going to be some corn coming next year. Maybe I ought to get out of these things, these long positions." I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are
Good
some of the
point.
things that maybe have changed. So,
But the other, we don't. I don't think we know Canada. I think there's, the talks are on the table. I haven't heard anything. It feels like China is still very much right. We're seeing tariffs imposed, but guess what? It's Friday. It could change Monday. So
it is. We got to go to this my pick for tweet of the week here.
yeah,
After all
do it.
it's too perfect to blend in here. But Douglas A. Boneparth, that's an interesting name. Monday he tweets rollback tariffs. Tuesday reinstate tariffs. Wednesday rollback tariffs. Thursday reinstate. Friday rollback. Saturday golf. Sunday golf, and then back
run
again.
run it back Monday. Yeah.
I think that's just
Here.
fitting for the week here.
You know what's funny? I found this one. It was a tweet, but I forgot actually who said it. But tariffs, but everything is exempt.
Everything. We're tariffing everything and also nothing.
But also nothing. So, oh man. All right. Continue the discussion. But I guess the last thing I had, Brady, is that COT report. We've seen a sell off in corn. It's going to be interesting to see what that looks like and how much did funds reduce that long position? We know they reduced it, but I guess how dramatic do you think it's going to be?
Right. Yeah. That's a good question and a good thought. So that's as of Tuesday, which is really not encompassing the bounce back we've had the last couple of days in these markets.
Great point.
So going to be interesting. I wish we had that daily, and I don't understand in today's world why we can't get a daily COT position squaring report every day. Why not? Why can't we get it, Connor B?
I don't know. I mean, we get people estimating that where, I think a couple days ago I talked about how, we're estimating funds sold X amount, but yeah, why can't we get from the government, just one, hey, here's where we are. Here's where funds did this. But I don't know. It's less dramatic if you get it every day. How about that?
I guess. I don't know, but it's also less relevant and less meaningful. And it's really not fair for the small players and the, 90% of American farmers and people out there that are impacted by these markets that we don't get it every day. So we need it every day. Let's level the playing field.
I like it. All right. Where else we got? I got another. So last week I did the show by myself and I forgot to do a tweet of the week and I had a good one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of aged.
You got another one?
I got it. It was my one from last week, so it's a little bit aged, but it's just too good. So this comes from a Representative Thomas Massey. He's representative in Kentucky. He said only those whose production costs of corn are lower than the market price of corn should be growing corn. It's as simple as that, Brady, right? So based on that tweet, new headline, corn acres dropped to close to zero. And so we're not going to have 94 million acres of corn. So sometimes, when you look at some of these politicians, how disconnected they are just blows my mind. But he did get roasted on Twitter, if that makes you feel better. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you got to be. I don't know. He got some publicity though, and sometimes a bad tweet's better than no tweet. Maybe if you want some publicity and get your name out there, everybody knows his name.
That's true. That's true.
They'll forget about it tomorrow too, because we're on to the next thing in today's world.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we got some good questions, and then you want to talk cattle real quick?
Yeah, light cash trade so far on the cattle front. Fat cattle steady to $2, weaker in the south in early cash trade. Cutouts continues to kind of jostle around here. Looking at the feeder cattle index, that also trickled a little bit weaker here. This is Wednesday's data. We'll get some new data here today, but the feeder cattle index down $1.78 to 276.89. Looking over at March, feeders are 274.77. Still got a little time for those things to square up, but they're not too far apart considering about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, they were $11 apart on March feeders versus the index. So that has definitely narrowed up. I always like looking at this data from the CME, just breaking out regionality, what's going to different yards. This is the auction data. What's getting sold regionally, and what is your regional weighted average price versus the current index gives you a little clues into what basis you're dealing with out there. So, oh, worth sharing. We're talking about. We'll see going forward in the macro market and tariff talk. That is also going to probably dictate some of the sentiment in the cattle front, but we'll see where things go. Yeah.
Good stuff. Should we answer some of these?
Some of
these questions.
Talk about it. Appreciate them coming up here.
Here we go. Does anyone have a Bitcoin planter and combine I can rent, lease, or borrow? Might as well try planting them. Pencils better than beans for sure. And so, especially in 2024, right? The Bitcoin did. We'll see how 2025 did. I don't think, what's the risk management with Bitcoin, Brady? Do you just store and ignore, store and ignore?
It's that store and ignore philosophy, especially from 10, 12 years ago. Then it's paying out pretty well. But
they do. They keep a little bit better in soybeans too. So
they do. Good stuff. Robert Bannock, in 2022, Nebraska did some testing on E30 on regular gas engines and found no harm done. I like that comment. I like more blender pumps out there, more accessibility for ethanol. And that's one of the biggest hurdles, I think, to growing that ethanol share in our gas supply is getting more pumps out there, more accessibility.
And that he follows it up with, how do we start to push towards E30 nationwide on all vehicles less than 24 years old? It'd be an incredible shot in the arm for the farmer. So
good point.
Great question. I think it's got to start from the government, right? I mean, we got to see some type of mandate, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. Maybe a group of farmers can get together and invest in a gas chain and open it up regionally and put a bunch of blender pumps out there. If they're investing in it and they want it, go make it happen.
I like it. Okay.
Build it. They will come. Build it. They will come.
All right. Farmer Brett, what do we got? Did you guys listen to Joe Rogan, Elon? Did you? I didn't listen to it.
I did not, no.
I need to. I'd like to hear what he says.
Good call out. We'll go put that on the listen list this weekend while we're not talking about tariffs.
All right. What would he like us to plant? I don't know if he had the answer, right? He just said if you can't pencil a profit, you shouldn't grow corn. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So, and then he's trying to figure out to grow Bitcoin. So
nice comments. Good stuff.
The thing with Bitcoin, and I think everyone watches the show because you and I are experts in Bitcoin.
Yes, obviously.
Okay, glad I got that out of the way. But with Bitcoin, right? There's a finite amount of Bitcoin out there, right? When we talk, when we say we're mining it, right? That mining it, that algorithm, it just gets harder and harder to mine them, right? So,
is there a finite amount of the Tua coin out there too?
I think that one's about zero, isn't it? It already tanked.
I think it's gone out of there. Okay.
Oh my gosh, what a world! What a world!
Oh man, a lot of talk about volatility this week. I think when I think about this, is volatility your friend or foe, that type of stuff. And if you're in control, we talked about that earlier this week. I just want to rehash it. You got 100 freaking people here watching us, so that's fantastic to see. Thanks for joining us. But if volatility your friend or foe, if you're in control, it's definitely this type of market move can be your friend. But if you're out of control, you're pissed off, you're upset. And I go back to something I always think about when it comes to farm marketing, Connor B, is that we're all very risk tolerant until we're not. And, after a nasty sell-off here in the markets, when you're looking at, 480, 490, the trend's your friend going up, we're very risk tolerant. We don't need to manage risk. But that you almost have to have that contrarian attitude and manage risk when the times are good, so that when you have an unexpected event, which should have potentially, probably, arguably been expected over the last couple of weeks, that you're in position to, make some moves, protect some equity, and reposition for what lies ahead. So that's my soapbox moment that I had to get off my chest because it's been weighing on me here the last couple of days.
No, it's a great
chatter out there.
It's a great point. And the other thing we talked about pulling up, we talk about that historical volatility. And when we look at D's corn, right, what was the high? Did we hit 480? I think we're
480.
Call it maybe a third on the low, a 30-40 cent sell-off on new crop corn. History tells us that volatility is not even close to over, right? Historically, we're closer to a $2 from the $2 move from the high to the low in a calendar year. And so to think that, oh, the lows have been put in, or, hey, my next target is going to,
Mhm.
I'm going to sell the farm at 480 or $5 or something like that. Right. History tells us that's not, we're not going to stop at either one. So that's the other thing I'd keep in mind.
Yeah, good point. To build on that, so we're at 450 now on decent new crop corn. If you say we're going to have that $2 type of trading range, that means 550 and 350 both potentially in play here. Okay.
Easily.
And both, maybe we hit both of them over the course of the year, potentially. But keep that in.
And that's the volatility. It's the average. We've seen significantly more than that, right? And we've seen less than that too. So it's always, but betting against volatility year on year, right? It's not really a winning bet.
Right. So the market today, 450 D's 25, a put and a 450 call, 35 cents a piece on each side. So the market is pricing in a 70-cent range between now and next November. I don't know. Maybe that's fair. I don't know which side it goes on. It feels very fair, but I would not be, surprised if we saw a bigger range than that going forward.
Yep.
Lots of things to think about. Been a dynamic couple weeks, and we hope everybody out there is okay. We're here to help. If you guys want to talk about your marketings and plans going forward, don't be afraid to hit us up. We appreciate y'all joining. And I think we spent too much. Did I spend too much time on my soapbox? Okay, I'll get off my soapbox.
I think they'll let you know if you did, but I liked it.
Right.
So, well, good stuff. Any other comments, Brady? I hope everyone has a great weekend. Right. We'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good weekend. Good to see you, Connor B.